Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for attending our March monthly webinar for the New and Beginning Teacher Program. Today, I'm excited to have Ms. Krista Pontius, Greenwood Agri-Science teacher, join us to talk a little bit about technology and literacy strategies that you can implement in your classroom. Without too much to say, I'm just going to pass it off to Krista because she does a really great job of introducing it. And so thanks for being here, Krista.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to get to share. I'm going to pull my screen up right away, and then I'll keep talking as soon as I figure out what I'm doing here. I was fortunate enough to get some of the DIY money from Penn State, so thank you, Dr. Foster and our friends at Penn State, for allowing that to happen. And as a result, I went to the Pennsylvania Technology Conference. Can everyone see my screen now? Yes? Okay. All right. And my partner in crime is unfortunately at a meeting, so hopefully she'll get here sooner rather than later, but that's okay. You're dealing with me until she gets here. So we went to the P&C conference, and apparently that is being techno-savvy in Pennsylvania. If you've ever had the chance to go to P&C, if you've never had the chance, I would definitely think about it. It is the second weekend in February, I believe, in Hershey, and it's a Sunday through Wednesday. A little bit of a tip: I went on Sunday just because I'm trying to not go to, or not be out of school as much as possible. I probably would never go again on Sunday itself, just because it was much more administrative. Not that I couldn't find stuff that was good, but Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday were definitely more up my alley. So just if you were planning on going and that's your thought, I probably would wait until Monday and go Monday and Tuesday, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday instead. So the one thing that the biggest take home that I took from was Skype in the classroom. Has anyone ever used Skype in the classroom? Can you just shake your heads or? Okay, this is such an incredible tool, and the tool is way beyond just using the program Skype in the classroom. There are actually several different things that are already tied into the website, and they're just starting, so it's going to get a whole lot better, and it keeps getting better every time I look at it. But all of this stuff is free to experts, and basically these experts can come into your classroom free of charge at any time, which is pretty amazing. So today we're going to talk about the Skype lessons that are available, virtual field trips, mystery Skype, and Skype collaboration. I'm sorry, and guest speakers. There's another thing we're going to talk about, and guest speakers as well. So I think I pulled this, excuse me, I pulled this slide in just because I thought it was so important to looking at the full picture of agricultural education. And if you would get rid of what's on the top 10 reasons to use Skype in the classroom, and make it the top 10 reasons that we think agricultural education is important, I don't think that it's a whole lot different, because they definitely have some of the same values and goals that we in agricultural education do. And so it's really a nice pairing, and it makes it so nice to use in our classroom every day. So here are the 5 exciting ways to bring Skype into our classrooms: the virtual field trips, the lessons, the collaboration, mystery Skype, and guest speakers. And one thing, when Di and I were talking about this, we said we always get all these great resources, but we never have time. We all know we don't have enough time. Everybody knows that. So we took a few minutes to, I'm getting ahead of myself. I apologize. So if you look, there's a really, really super great search engine in here. So you can just type the search engine and put different topics, and it will come up with some ideas for you. So rather than just scrolling through the whole thing, because it is a little overwhelming if you try to look at all the guest speakers that are there, take some time and put in the guest speaker, pick the topical things that are important to you, and go from there. But Di and I did take a few minutes to try to pull some that can work directly in your curriculum. And you can see here, you can take a tour of a teaching farm in Kenya. How cool is that, that your students could be right there? There's one over here, Be the Spark, the Change in the World, which would be obviously a keynote speaker, a guest speaker. Oh, that's a lesson. I'm sorry. I have this bar that I'm sharing with, and it's getting in my way. I apologize. I thought it was cool, the Gates Foundation, the individual, and we had to shrink this down because we couldn't fit it all into the one slide, but the individual wrote a book, 26 Secrets to Success in Business, and you could actually have that person come into your classroom as a guest speaker. How cool is that? So I want to, this is where I need to act like I know what I'm doing. I need to stop sharing, sorry, Laura. And I need to get, okay. I apologize, I'm feeling.
You're okay.
Need to go back to Pete and C to feel more comfortable what I'm doing right now. Okay. So now you see my desktop, and that's not what I want you to see. Can you
There it is.
the classroom now? Okay. So this is the actual website. And as Di said, this website it's pretty busy. It's definitely busy. So after you get past the initial, oh, there's a lot to look at, if you get over here in the corner, in the blue on the left-hand side, the Skype in the classroom, that's what we want to focus on today. So you can see here, there are Skype lessons, and you can just click on them. Again, the search engine is great. So you just go in here and filter. But these Skype lessons are available, and they're adding them by the day. So just because you didn't find something today, won't mean you won't find something tomorrow. And I'll be quite honest, I haven't had a lot of chance to look at the Skype lessons or collaborations, but the field trips and the guest speakers I've looked at quite a bit. So the collaborations, I gave a great example of this the other day, but you can actually go in here and collaborate with classrooms around the world, classrooms or scientists doing research. So that makes it, I remember when I was first teaching, and this is probably before many of you were out of diapers even, but I remember we had this collaboration that it was actually with NASA, and we were growing plants in space, and that was so cool because we would send our data in, either call it in or mail it in. But now it's a little quicker than that used to be. But I thought of that right away when I was looking at some of these collaborative opportunities. But if you get in here to the field trips, and I am really excited because our first field trip is happening on Friday. My environmental science class is going to the National World War II Museum in New Orleans. We're talking about reduce, reuse, recycle right now, and we came upon recycling efforts during World War II. And when I was preparing these slides, I just came across this, and I don't know if I can find it straight up, but I came across this opportunity, and I'm going to have a virtual field trip to New Orleans on Friday at 10 o'clock. So you can check back in, and I'll let you know how it goes, but I'm really excited. The neat thing is everyone is very professional right away. So I signed up for the virtual field trip, and you can hop on. So if this is the one that you're interested in, you can tell when it's posted, and it just gives you a little bit about it. And then you can register for the field trip. Whoops, I didn't sign in. But you can register for the field trip, and then I apologize. What the heck? And apparently my password has changed, and I didn't know. Okay, never mind. But you can register for the field trip, and then a calendar actually pops up and it says they're available on these certain days, and then you just click on the calendar and immediately Skype sends you an email and sends them an email. So they really take care of all of that back and forth correspondence that is really difficult for us as teachers. It's not difficult, but it's time consuming for us as teachers to take care of getting everything set up. And then really what happened is the lady from the World War II Museum sent me an email and she said, I'd like you to look at this ahead of time and share this with your class. And then she sent me another email and said, okay, we're 5 days away. Let's do our practice Skype, so we're ready. So it is a really simple and easy process. And I'm really excited about the opportunity to get to go to different places and not really leave Perry County. It's much cheaper that way, as you all know. And guest speakers is the exact same deal. And what they told us at P&C is that most of these guest speakers will talk to your class for 30 minutes for free. I suppose some of them are professional guest speakers who actually get paid to do this. But the one thing you do have to look at, but it's so nice that they take care of it for you, because you have to consider the time zone. Obviously, if you are 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, that may not work with everybody's working hours. So you do need to think of that and consider that when you're picking your Skype folks. And probably my favorite one, and this is what we actually did at P&C, was a mystery Skype. So what happened was, here we go. What happened with the mystery Skype was we were actually Skyping with an elementary class, and we didn't know who we were Skyping with, but they started asking us questions. We started asking them questions, and the kids actually figured it out quicker than us. They were in Atlanta, Georgia, and we were in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and it was a really neat opportunity for us as teachers, of course, but for the students to learn about geography. I keep thinking, wouldn't it be cool if we could set up an ag education mystery Skype? So we just pop up and say, I want to do a Skype on this day, and then, and I'm sure it's possible, just have to get someone who's technologically capable of doing that. But I thought at the end of that, so we could do the mystery Skype, and then our students would present about Pennsylvania agriculture, and who knows, maybe we are Skyping with someone from California or Oregon or whoever, wherever, and then we could learn a little bit about their agriculture as well. So some different ways, 20 questions, of course, yes or no answers. And the other thing that's cool on here is it's not all classrooms. You can mystery Skype jobs. I saw there was an environmental scientist in Australia, and so obviously you're mystery Skyping, trying to figure out where he is and what his job is. So what a great idea to start a unit or an interest approach. I just think this is a way to just have kids involved and engaged in so many ways. And you think of, you could have kids who are reporting, kids who are asking the questions. You could make people, their only job is to tweet answers or whatever. Just get kids involved, and I just can't imagine any kid sitting there with his arms crossed saying this isn't cool. Can't imagine that. So, can anybody unmute themselves so I can take a drink and tell me how you could use Skype in your classroom?
One thing that I was just thinking of, so I just went to the pre-vet symposium on Saturday. I took a group of students and met with one of the veterinarians at the Pittsburgh Zoo. And this would be a really cool resource to be able to have someone like that be able to come in and talk to the kids after previewing some of the stuff that they do. I think this would be really neat if like someone like that was on here to be able to do that with.
That's awesome. I did see there's apparently an elephant sanctuary in Tennessee, and that was one of the options, that you could visit the elephant sanctuary and there was a speaker there. I could honestly teach my whole environmental science class from Skype. There's so much stuff to talk about. That's a great idea, Toby. Anybody else?
Hear me?
Yeah.
I am always bringing industry professionals and exposure to like a day in the life of the job, especially in the mechanics field. And I think the opportunities that save me pulling somebody from the job, you know, to come in here, to drive off the job site, so on and so forth, and also just talk about like, what do you look for in employees, like work on this workplace frame of mind. So I think that resource.
Okay. I'm hearing some strength. Okay. Darla, are you talking? No. Okay.
Whenever Toby was at the Elk Center, I used Skype and did the distance learning with him. So they sent us a trunk of materials ahead of time and we did some lessons and then we Skyped Toby in and he did a whole presentation.
That's cool. My mom was in Haiti not too long ago and I had her walk around the orphanage. We Skyped with her, and as far as the Wi-Fi would take us, obviously, but that was so awesome for our kids just to see. I always say when you go to places like Haiti that you really don't know what it's like until you're there and you smell it and you touch it. But if all we can do is get them there and see it and feel it a little bit, we're doing our job, definitely. I also have had, I said the first time I ever had to use Skype in the classroom or use Skype period was when the chairman of my parliamentary procedure team went to Montana State and we had the Skype practices in, and we've done that every year that we've made it to nationals, surprisingly, just because the chair, if someone's in college, that's just how it works. But Skype is something, not just this resource of Skype in the classroom, but Skype is something that is definitely valuable. And how many of you had Skype interviews? It's not unfamiliar to anybody just to see people face to face. So cool. All right, are there any questions about that? If not, we'll keep on rolling. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about a little bit is some literacy strategies. And I'm just going to share a couple with you. If you have any that you're thinking of that you want to share when we're done, that would be awesome. And I just think it's so important that we in agriculture make sure that we are incorporating literacy as often as we can. And a little known fact about literacy is that every time that a student is reading, writing, or speaking about content, you are working to improve their literacy. I know we always think of literacy as only reading and only writing, but if they are communicating, they are working to improve their literacy, and we're doing our job as educators. One of my favorites is partner highlighting. So what you do is you give students an article to read, you have them read it and highlight the important information. And then they should get a partner who has a different color highlighter than they do. Then they should exchange highlighters, but not papers. As a group, they need to discuss what each person highlighted, and if they did something different, they should include it in a new highlighter. If they both had the same thing, they should star it. And then that leads to a nice class discussion afterwards. So that is a nice one that is super easy to do, and it works in just about any setting. I guess the only disadvantage is if you have a book, obviously they're not going to highlight your book, so you would need copies of your readings. The next thing is coding the margins. And this is, if you give students an article, you just give them a certain code. And there's an example there under number 2, but it doesn't have to be that. So if they put a smiley face, they mean, I already know this. If it's an exclamation point, it's interesting. A question mark is, I never heard of this before. And a star is, this is important. Again, followed with a class discussion. And simply all you're doing is you're just adding another layer to their comprehension. because if they put a star beside it, they think, oh, I'm going to need to know this later. And obviously their questions, the other thing that you can collect them at the end, and then you can see where their questions are, and it would be a good place to start. I have who has. I would love to show you an example of this, but it didn't work so well last time when I did this with student teachers, but I didn't know who was coming. So it wasn't exactly easy. I actually have, hold on. Let me get my lesson plans because I have one for tomorrow. So I could at least show you the cards. Hold on. What the heck happened to it? Oh, here we go. Okay, so here are my cards. You're not going to be able to read these, I understand. But one side says I have, and then the next side says who has. So what you need to do is, and I like to have students jump out of their seat and scream, I have whatever. So let's say you have, I have EM Tiffany. Then whoever has, on the back of their card, whoever has the individual who wrote the FFA creed, they stand up and scream it. And then they flip their card over and say who has. Does that make sense? I think it makes a little more sense if you actually try it, but it is fun. And then what's fun afterwards is if you, so then you shuffle the cards all up and put them in teams, and then time them, and then try to get the class to beat their time, because they're still learning. If you shuffle the cards up, obviously they're ensuring that they know a different definition, but it's just a fun way, and we all know competition is a good thing. So I have who has is a really fun one. Next is draw the procedure. We have all been in the situation where we give students a procedure and we go over it word for word. We say, are there any questions, or what questions do you have? And nobody says anything, and then they start working and 10 questions are asked. By doing draw the procedure, which obviously you can't do this every time, but draw the procedure, it really helps to eliminate some of those questions. So what I do is I give them the procedure. I have them draw each step. They can use numbers, symbols, and pictures, but no words. So they draw each step, and then they go with the partner. They put their papers away that have the writing on it, and they have to back and forth explain each step of the procedure. Obviously, if they miss something, they put it in, they include it into the procedure. And I always like to tell them that they're doing the experiment based on their drawings, not on the actual words. Depending on how hard the experiment is definitely worth their while. But I have noticed by doing stuff like draw the procedure, there are a lot fewer questions and a lot fewer mistakes while doing experiments. Vocabulary tic-tac-toe is another fun one. Not funny, nothing funny about it, but it is fun. You have to pick a minimum of 10 vocab words, and then you just make a tic-tac-toe board, and they have to put the 9 words wherever they want to put them on the paper. And then their ticket out the door, or whatever you're doing, they have to use 3 of those words, either horizontal, vertical, or diagonal, in a sentence. And so obviously if they're using 3 words in a sentence, in a good sentence, we all know there's good sentences and not such good sentences, but if they're using those 3 words in a sentence, they're going to show that they understand or they comprehend what you're saying. Another one, and it's not exactly a literacy strategy, but that I like to do as a ticket out the door is, if you, whatever your essential question is, your essential question and essential vocabulary, the ticket out the door is they answer the essential question using the essential vocabulary. And it's just a couple sentences, but it's a great way for you to to see comprehension. And a couple more that I like are sticky note reading. And sticky note reading is, and that's when we're using a book, I'll give them 5 sticky notes and 3 pages to read. Silently, they will read the 3 pages, and they will write questions that could be generated from the information that they're reading. So they write the questions on the sticky note and put the sticky note on the page where they read what they read. So they have 5 sticky notes. After they're done, they swap books with someone else. The person who got the book has to answer the sticky note, answer the question to the sticky note, and then give it back to the original writer of the sticky notes. So if you think about it, that is triple comprehension. So they're reading it one time, then they're writing questions, and then they are checking the answers to those questions. So it's actually 3 times that they are checking for comprehension. The next one is make an icon. I have an icon here. Hold on. Laura, I'm going to stop sharing. Can you make everybody see this? I don't know how to get my face up there big. I don't really want it big, but.
Does everyone see it?
Can everybody see this?
You're
Okay.
good.
All right. So make an icon for whatever. If you have 5 concepts or, okay, thanks. Mr. Clark was passing me a note, excuse me. Okay, if you have 5 concepts or whatever the case may be, it can just be a ticket out the door, a vocabulary word, whatever, they can make an icon. So I like to say, take a look at your phone and look at those icons. And so icons are very simple. Can anybody guess what this is? It's a type of cheese. I think this is hilarious, but I could be the only person that thinks this is funny as I do. No, it's Limburger. Limburger. I think that's hilarious. But anyway, okay. I apologize. Laura, can you take over for a minute? I seriously have to go talk to Mr. Clark. I'm so sorry. I'll be right back.
That's okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just saw a text message when I said look at icons, and somebody's coming at 4:30 about sand. I'll be right back.
That's okay.
I'm sorry, this makes me laugh so much. This is a typical idea. I'm sorry, I've got to go. Clark is yelling at, who knows what's on fire right now? Like, seriously, who knows what's occurring?
I saw Sarah Beth's comment in there about the mystery Skype. Whenever we had Krista join us about last week with the student teachers, this was like awesome to me, right? So I thought, wow, you could do a mystery Skype. That's one way that's really cool. But the ability to like go on a field trip without actually leaving your classroom, because they actually showed some examples and started some video, and it was really cool. So definitely check that out.
Before Krista starts again, I just want to make the point that for the 6 of you, like very clearly to the 6 of you, that she took advantage. I want you to show how easy. Her RLO, her reusable learning object that was a return on investment for the profession, was simply taking this hour to talk to the student teachers and then to you about the investment to go to this conference. So when we kick off the 2nd year of the DIY project, which will announce at State Summer Conference again, know that this is how simple and easy it can be. So if you have a great idea, we want to help fund you get to neat things. So that's the only point I wanted to make.
Okay. I'm sorry. Thanks so much. We have this ongoing dugout project, and someone's coming to move the sand. Luckily, I said icon because Mr. Clark was getting ready to take off for a couple minutes.
Hey, seriously, we're not done with the dugout yet. Didn't I visit that like in the fall?
Yes. Well, the dugout's done. We just have to move the sand because we have a very scrappy softball coach who wants the sand, and it's ours. We got to get it moved up here or they're going to take it. So, okay, next on the list is, this one is may be hard to explain, but so this is a picture of pictures or whatever. This is a sheet of pictures. And literally what I do for this is I type in the word, and I try to make a picture that connects, but isn't necessarily like, oh, for sure that's what that is. Okay, so I have 6 pictures on here. Then I have a little medicine envelope. Okay, little medicine envelope with lots of terms inside. All right. So the first thing you do is you take the terms, and there's like 12 terms in here and 6 pictures. So you need to try to connect what you think the 6 pictures are. Literally, the only thing you're doing is trying to make a connection from pictures to vocabulary words. And the reason that you do that is when you give them a reading that they're about to do, and I did it myself. I did it myself in a workshop. So I know as you read, the words literally just like pop off the page at you. And so you're trying to get the important vocabulary terms via the pictures in the beginning to pop out in the reading. And so this is a great one. Obviously, it takes a little bit of time to find the pictures and print them and get them all into the little medicine envelopes, but it definitely helps when you're trying to get students to comprehend tough things, tough concepts. And I don't know, I've just really enjoyed that literacy strategy. So I believe that is the end of my presentation. So what I want to know now is how can you use this information? Because I learn all the time that I can learn as much, if not more, from you as you can from me. So I want to hear what kind of literacy strategies do you use, or how can you take this and use it tomorrow? One of those 2 things, if you don't mind. If you don't want to talk to me, it's okay, but unmute, please. Thank you.
So I actually have an observation coming up on Wednesday, and I was really struggling coming up with a literacy strategy. So everything that you just shared, I'm like, oh, perfect, set. So no, I think it's really awesome. I was jotting a bunch of the stuff down as you were going, taking pictures of my screen to get some of that stuff. But I'm definitely going to use that, especially on Wednesday.
Okay. And I'm not sure if I'm, another thing with our Ag-I Squared that's coming up, and I think most of you are coming, if not all of you, I'm not sure. But literacy strategies are something that's really important in the DuPont Ag-I Squared, and so you're going to get a lot more as well, for what that's worth. But that's not Wednesday.
No, we have a while to wait.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you, Toby. Anybody else?
I have one.
Yeah.
Can you see me? All right. So I have quite a few shop classes currently, and I have one that is a welding class that has just a very stereotypical group of welding boys that just like to mess around. So getting those concrete concepts of why we do certain things in welding instead of just going out and, having at it. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to get, my lights went out, to get the literacy standards or literacy concepts into their heads and to kind of get them into learning without saying, read this chapter, answer these questions. So I plan to use the sticky note thing where they kind of form their own questions instead of answering questions that I have, because I think that would be really great. And if they're kind of playing off of each other and they'll make it kind of like a competition to see who can come up with some of the hardest questions, I think it would be really cool to pull those concepts in and kind of bring in literacy without having just straight questions.
Cool. Thank you.
They're pushing literacy strategies really hard at my school right now, and all of our in-service days this year, they have a lady, I think she's from Texas, that flies in and does literacy strategies with us. And every other Friday, so it works out to be twice a month, we have literacy groups that we meet with in the morning before school. And we have these charts that we have to fill out with what literacy strategy we used, how many times we used it, and 3 student samples. And there's a spot at the bottom that's what new literacy strategies have you used that we didn't talk about? And so I found
cool.
But yeah, every other week we have meetings with, there's 5 teachers per group, and they're all from different departments. And we share literacy strategies. So I don't have a new one.
That's cool. something that I learned at the NAAU convention. There's a professor, and I cannot remember her name right now. Somebody can help me. At Clemson. Does that help at all? Kathy, starts with a B. She is doing research about, no, I just forgot. Reflection in versus reflection out. I think that's what she called it. And so she has some different examples of working with, so instead of giving kids a long reading and then questions at the end, that you do paragraph and then a question and a paragraph question. It just makes sense as far as comprehension. But I know that Miranda is doing that's what her action research is about this year. She just finished it up today, so I'm anxious to see how she, what the numbers look like when she crunches them. But reflection in, reflection out is also another interesting. It's not necessarily a literacy strategy, but it certainly improves comprehension, I would think. I can send that to anybody if they want an example. I have an example with soil, but it's pretty neat. Janae, were you there at that workshop? No. There was somebody sitting beside me from Pennsylvania, but I can't remember who it was, but I guess it doesn't matter. Anybody else have anything to share?
Yeah, this is Darla.
Hi, Darla.
Yeah, I'm sitting at my desk. I wasn't walking around anymore. So I was instantly thinking about when I have labs where kids are developing their own procedures. So I like the sketching out the procedure, especially since they're developing it. So they should be able to make it as clear as possible that another group could understand it. And sometimes sketching it out and seeing what they're thinking before putting it into words could be helpful when they're developing their own procedures.
Absolutely. Hey, Lauren, do you happen to have that email link that Di sent about the newspaper, the changing of the grade level with newspaper? Could you find that and send it to everybody? We did a similar talk to the student teachers last week. Somebody was asking about how do you change the grade level of different readings. And Di had a link that she sent to all the student teachers, which I thought was really interesting, that you're able to actually change grade levels on certain readings. Obviously, it's not all going to work right into our situation, but if you are thinking about differentiation, which is something that is so important in our teaching and our evaluations, of course, that is a way that you can differentiate your instruction based on students' needs and interests.
I just cut and pasted into the the chat box, so they should be able to click on it. And it's called Newsela.
Yeah.
I think I'm saying that right.
Something like that. Cool. All right. Does anybody else have anything to share?
This is a really great opportunity to also ask questions if you have any to Ms. Pontius. She obviously does a lot, goes a lot of places, engaged in a lot of professional development. And so please tap into her vast knowledge. Anybody?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Somebody.
Strategies, because I'm constantly looking for new ways to deliver content when we're talking about new ID, because technical terms are really important to me, and like we should never be asking for that tool. So all new strategies and ideas are helpful because sometimes the same old get stale. There are places to start. So I appreciate you sharing.
And I hope everybody knows we're all just a big family, so you don't have to, you can save your questions for later. Just text me, whatever. But everybody, just know that we're all here to help you as much as we can, because we are only as strong as our weakest link. All right, I guess we're done.
Yeah, I appreciate everyone coming. And again, Krista has done a really good job of sharing out things that she learned. And also, like Dr. Foster said, this is a really great example of return on investment that the center asks if you do tap into some of our DIY funding. This year, the DIY funding has kind of closed its doors because we've spent the money that was allocated, but it will be accessible next year. And so we just ask that if you take advantage of some of our funding to give back to the teachers. And like Krista said, we're a big family and we want to share things. And so we're constantly trying to grow and be better teachers, and definitely trying to provide support to you as new and beginning teachers and making sure you feel comfortable and equipped to continue doing good things. So please be sure to look into that. And if you have any questions for Krista or myself or Dr. Foster or anybody, just feel free to shoot us or whoever an email, and we're happy to help you out.
Hey, Laura, can I share one more idea before you go? You can have announcements. I just don't want you to close it before I share.
Just real quick, I just want to give a reminder that our new and beginning teacher dinner meetings are coming up. So get those on your calendar. And if you are attending the mentoring workshop prior to your PAAE meeting, I know Janae's thinking about it. Hopefully Hannah and Sarah Beth and Toby. Toby is too. Toby let me know he is coming. Those are next week for your regions. So let me know if you're coming. Thanks.
So the quick idea before you all go, I saw this yesterday on Twitter and I had to like mail the tweet to myself. So I'm going to try to use it in class. I'm going to hit return right now. You can check it out. It's a way to use Google Excel to conduct a mock Twitter chat with your students so that all students don't have to have a Twitter account or they don't even have to be connected, but they could get the same experience of responding and sharing to an idea. And so it blew my mind because I didn't even know you could do it, and that those directions work you through it. So I put that in the chat box, and I just thought since I had y'all's an audience, I'd share it. I'm still exploring it to use for some of my classes, probably in 412 in the fall as they prepare to conduct a Twitter chat. But it just blew my mind. Anybody else? Because pretty cool stuff. All right.
Yeah, so thanks for coming. Lots of options out there, a lot of technology that can be useful to help you facilitate engaging lessons in your classroom. So feel free to reach out to any of us, again, if you have questions or if you're interested in looking into something that maybe was mentioned tonight. Give it a try. There's some cool stuff out there. So I'll stay on for a few minutes if anyone wants to chat or has questions, but I'm going to stop the recording, and I appreciate you all coming.